Welcome again to the Better Contractor equipment training. We got a smaller piece of equipment here, but still could be a very risky or dangerous piece of equipment. It can cut trees, right?
It can cut anything can cut trees can be considered dangerous from a handsaw to a chainsaw. This is a Steel MS 462. It's a pretty decent saw. You can run. I ran up to a 36-inch bar on it. Runs really good. Mostly we run 2-foot bars on them. But like any tool that's got some features on it, you might want to take and know how to use it.
Because most of you have probably used a chainsaw, but have you used it correctly, or maybe not even, I mean, maybe you cut firewood with somebody.
Well, most people cut occasional firewood. They have a limb, they have a chainsaw that they cuss for an hour because they can't get it started because it's sitting in their garage all year, and now they need it and can't do it. Yep, so, which they make stabilized fuel now. You just buy that and it never goes bad and put in chainsaws. But for us out here, this is what I consider to be a pretty decent saw to do work with. Cut down most trees that we encounter, big, little, and small. But there's some safety involved with it. I'm left-handed, and most saws are designed to be operated by a right-hand person, so I have to catch myself, make sure I always use it like a right-hander. The chain itself, I always try to make sure I have a scabbard on there so it's safe. Gloves on so I don't take and touch it. But the teeth themselves are sharp. They're made to cut wood, so the human body's not going to stop it. The chainsaw, when it's running, exhibits force in a couple different ways. If you use the top part to cut with, that wants to take and push you away from your work. If you use the bottom part of the saw, which most people do, that pulls you to your work. The tip up here, you could almost divide it in half. The top part's where you develop kickback. That's the dangerous part, where a saw comes straight back at you, and it happens so fast. The bottom part here is you're getting to that dangerous part. You can use it to cut stuff. Some safety features. You have an on-off switch. This is called the brake. This is what, when you have your hands positioned, if the saw kicks back, when that activates, it stops the saw immediately.
I'm surprised how many people I've talked to that did not know a chainsaw had a chain brake.
It does, and some people, you always once you get the saw started, you want to take and activate the brake when the chain's moving, just to make sure it stops. If the saw does not, brake does not activate and stop the chainsaw, you want to take the saw out of work, take it to a mechanic, to a shop that specializes in chainsaws, have them fix that.
And when you're on the ground, we recommend anytime you take more than one step to go ahead and just twist your wrist and put that brake on.
Correct. And you'll see some people, they'll take their hand off the back, they'll hold it here, and they'll take this hand and they'll want to push the brake that way. What happens if they miss, they can be right here into the saw. So we always recommend rotating the wrist around to do that. The most dangerous end of a sharp stick is the pointy end of the stick. I consider this to be the dangerous end of the chainsaw. So anytime I use it, I want to make sure my body positioning, I've got the saw always in front of me. Whether I'm stumping something down, I'm always keeping my body positioning to where it is always in front of me. I'm never getting out to the side of it. Because once you turn that saw on the side and you're operating it, your hand is no longer in control of the safety bar to where if it kicks back and activates. You want to always make sure that when you start the saw, you start it on the ground.
Not drop starting it.
Not drop starting where you hold on to it, because a lot of people, when they start out, they start to run full blast. They don't have the chain brake activate. This is moving really fast. It could catch yourself, hit something, come back and get you.
So we've all done that, drop starting a chainsaw. But statistically, people cut themselves right there on their leg because they don't have the chain brake on, they got the choke on, it's screaming when they pull it like this, and they cut right there.
Correct. So you always want to make sure you're using your chain brake. You always want to make sure you're positioning yourself behind it. When you start it, you're usually on the ground. You have your 1 foot on it, your pole starting it. All saws start a little bit different. They have their own little characteristics. Usually you choke them, you pull them 3 times, and they should be starting to run.
Some people say even on a 250, if it don't pull it more than 3 times, even if you didn't hear it burp, or you'll flood that dude. But
Yeah. And the maintenance on the saw, just in the chain, keeping the chain sharp, you have the bar itself. You have metal on metal here, and it has a lubrication that goes through there as you're cutting wood to keep the chain cool, to help keep it gliding along the rail real good. But this bar itself will actually get a burr, and once that burr starts getting a little bit wider in the chain, doesn't matter how sharp your chain is, that bar is too wide, and it will get stuck in the tree after you go in about 1 inch or so.
And you can kind of feel that with your fingernail?
Yes, usually you take and to have the bar off, you can check it, and if your fingernail catches on it, that's getting wide. You can dress that with a little bit of a file, dress it down. Want to make sure your bar doesn't get bent. The bigger saws, the tip is replaceable. 3 rivets get drilled out, then you put 3 rivets in, new tip, and put it on and go. Chain, you want to make sure it's not real loose and floppy. You want to make sure it's not hanging down here real low. This here's just about almost too loose, but not too bad. When you're sharpening a chainsaw, even if it's not running, I want to have gloves on whenever I'm doing stuff around it, because you can still get cut on it, because every one of these considers a little knife edge.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then real quick on that, so again, that's the cutting tooth. What do you call the little dude between it?
This is what you call the raker, the drag. That's what sets the depth of how much wood you're cutting. So as you sharpen this tooth, it actually gets shorter and shorter, and this will stay the same height. So if you take anything off that, you just want to take maybe 1 pass of the file off of it. That way you're dropping the depth down so I can go. As it cuts that wood chip funnels back underneath the tooth and flies out. So if you take too much of that off, the tooth's biting so much, it will drag the saw down, won't be able to take and pull it. So you always want to make sure you have that balance of a sharp saw, adjusted saw. And the difference between a sharp chain and a dull chain is the amount of work you get done. You can cut twice as much with a sharp chain as you can with a dull.
And not as hard on your body.
Not as hard as your body. If you're running the saw and the bar's smoking, or you're having to push on it or anything, you need to take time to sharpen the saw. I always say, run a tank of gas or through to it. If you have anything, maybe dress that chain up 1 pass with a file. Keep it nice and sharp so you're not working as hard.
Yeah, because when it stops throwing little chips and it's just throwing light sawdust, you're working too hard.
It's working too hard.
You mentioned this, but I really think some people buy a saw and then this thing gets left in the garage or thrown away and never used again. But I really like trying to keep it on to protect the truck, protect equipment, and protect you as much as possible.
Yeah, in a toolbox, it keeps the chain from rubbing on metal or anything, get sharp, or poking a hole in your gas can, your oil can, and now you have that all over.
I've heard guys say as many as 10 safety features on a chainsaw, but I count that as a safety feature to be able to cover the bar.
Correct.
We talked about the chain brake. That's another very important one. Obviously, the muffler protects your hearing. You mentioned the stop on-off switch, but then it's also got this for your palm of your hand to be able to, you got to be able to put your palm on and keep your palm on to be able to pull the trigger.
Correct.
And then a couple other things might be, it's got a chain catch. It's basically a little aluminum piece right here that if this chain were to come off, it'll catch on that and knock it to the ground.
And that will happen. It will come off. If you're an experienced operator, newbie, you're still going to have that chain's going to come off at some point in time.
And then you can see the handle has some springiness into it to take out some of that vibration that'll cause you to
The older saws didn't have that, and you'd take and get the white knuckle, and your hands you'd let go of it, and it felt like you're just tingling all the time.
Yeah. And then this back plate is supposed to be designed to help protect your hands right there.
Correct, correct.
And that's just a few. But then I know we were talking the other day that show how you would walk with this to be safest.
If I'm going to walk with the saw, I'm going to walk with it with a bar to the back of me. That way, if I would trip and fall, I'm not falling on the saw and stuff. When I get to the job site and I'm sitting down I'm going to set it like this. If anybody walks up, they don't trip over the bar itself too.
So laying flat like that, like whenever you fuel it up,
correct,
versus like this, where you could trip on the bar. That makes sense.
That way it's less of a tripping area. You still have the motor here, you can trip over something, but this way if they fall, they might not put their hand or catch something on that bar itself. Just a little extra, it's just a habit I've got into that I really like to tell everybody that works out real good. Some of the handles are actually heated for some of the saws, like loggers and up north, they actually have a heated handle. And that's another comfort feature, I guess you could say.
They got some new fancy ones. I've heard of Bluetooth and fuel injected. And
this here's saw is you can't adjust it. You have to take it in. They have to at the shop to adjust it. The fuel injected ones, they run really good. The old ones can run really good when adjusted right. Make sure it's running right. Proper fuel. Mixing your fuel is so important.
I was gonna say, what mix do you want in here and what octane?
We use a 50 to 1. Try to get the highest octane, 93, 97 or better is always nice. They also make that pre-made fuel. I would recommend it for the homeowner, for their weed eaters or for their chainsaws or leaf blowers that they don't use all the time. That way the fuel is always good. If you mix up your fuel, we do 2.5 gallon mixes at a time. We add a little stable or something, a fuel additive into it that helps keep the fuel to where it lasts a long time. One of the other features of chainsaw is try to keep the sawdust. It'll build up a little oil, and let's try to keep it clean as much as you can.
That way it'll keep injecting the oil too instead of clog up the ports.
Correct. Keep everything clean on it. Do a little maintenance on it after you get done with a job or you're using it. Parts of the drive sprocket will get worn out. Replace that when you need to so it doesn't jump a tooth and catch. If they start running bad, take them to the shop right away versus trying to run them for a long period of time not running right. It seems to be hard on them.
Let's touch on PPE too real quick. So the PPE is personal protective equipment. Again, it's the last line of defense, but whenever you're using a chainsaw, you really ought to have everything from head to toe. So a full working helmet. This is a non-working helmet, but that would have the ear protection on it and the face screen with your safety glasses behind it. You'd want to wear long sleeves. It'll protect you from sawdust or maybe even poison ivies and stuff that the chainsaw might throw at you, and protects you from the sun. But good gloves.
Good gloves. Good gloves you have good dexterity with, where you can feel it, but gloves that can protect you from if you touch the muffler or if you touch a chain or something.
Sure.
And that could be a personal preference, you know, there, what to use for that.
And then as we work down, definitely want to wear chainsaw chaps or chainsaw pants. But anytime you're using a chainsaw, wear those chainsaw pants or chaps. Those fibers will choke up that clutch immediately if it ever came in contact with you. Then as you work down, we recommend steel-toed boots. I know they got composite and all kind of different alloys out there, but the steel-toed, you cannot cut through your toe with the chainsaw. There's different YouTube videos out there. You could scrape and cut behind all of a sudden, but it will cut right through a composite toe. I think the most thing is the chainsaw handling, though. Like you said, keeping your body positioning behind it.
Ergonomics.
Watching that tip that could kick back.
Ergonomics. When you're cutting something, don't be cutting something way down low. I always say if I'm felling a tree or something, I try to cut at my waist height. That way the knee's slightly bent, you know, so that way I've got good control of everything. Never reaching up and cutting above my shoulder height if I can keep from it. That way I'm not getting overextended and stuff. That way when you cut through something, you want to squeeze the handle to hold it. You'll squeeze the trigger and it'll take off.
I've seen some small saws. Are there any one-handed saws?
The manufacturers make saws that were designed to be ran one-handed, but OSHA does not recommend or recognize the use of a one-hand saw. Hand saws, we use some really sharp hand saws for cutting small limbs from a tree. They are just as dangerous as any gasoline-powered saw. They're so sharp you can cut through a nice-sized limb really fast, but you don't want to grab on the limb here and cut here because one pull across your glove and you'll be to the bone even with those saws. Ergonomics, keeping yourself always in back of the saw. That way you're not putting yourself in that danger.
Yeah, and I want to mention one more thing. You mentioned hand saws. One more thing, if you've got something dangerous or out of reach or you think might be a little scary for you to be right under it, don't forget about pole saws. Something that will keep the business end out there a little further away from you.
And that's a very handy tool. A lot of people like to use those. They'll end up getting right underneath their work though sometimes. So there's safety involved with that too. But for getting yourself away from something, that they work great for that.
So anyway, that's a quick training on the chainsaw. There's so much, they're so useful.
Correct.
But there's so much to make sure we're doing it right. So whether you're doing it at home, working for a landscaping company, or in a full-blown tree logging service, just try to be the better contractor.